Thank you, Shola. When you talk about investing in clean energy infrastructure, this is one key aspect of making sure that African economies get bolstered. So at AIIM, how much have you folks done in the last 1 year around clean energy?
So thanks, Bosun. Let me start off by saying that investing in the energy transition, that is investing in infrastructure which supports a move away from higher cost, higher carbon fuels to lower cost, lower carbon fuels, is a key part of our strategy. Over the last 12 months, we've invested in a number of projects which support this theme. In South Africa, we invested in 9 out of the 28 projects which closed in the round 4 of the renewable energy program. That program has a combined, or those investments have a combined capacity of 800 megawatts, and the impact that those projects have on the environment is a reduction in carbon emissions in the order of 2.5 million tons per annum. Outside of South Africa, we've supported our distributed energy businesses. In West Africa, we're building the largest distributed energy platform called Starside Energy, and we've supported that company with additional investments to help it reach 35 megawatts of solar PV capacity. It supplies both commercial and industrial customers off-grid, and we think that really is the energy market of the future. And then in East Africa, we have further supported our business there, which is the B-Box Distribution Energy company, with further investments to help scale the solar home system markets in those countries.
And so when we would talk about power, transport, and midstream energy in sub-Saharan Africa, you did a major third signature fund deal about a year ago. What made those sectors very important to your firm, and in what ways do you expect this impact to move up from where it was?
Sure. So the way we look at the world at AIM, we really invest across 3 main themes. The first is electrification and energy transition, and I've just spoken about some of the investments that we've made in that space. The second is around mobility and logistics. If you look at the urbanization rates in many of the countries that we invest in over the next 30 years, you can see that people moving from rural areas to urban areas is going to be a key feature of population growth in Africa over the next half a century. So the infrastructure, the consumer-facing infrastructure that's required to move both people and goods needs to be built and supported. And that has to do with roads, airports, ports, etc. And that forms the second key plank of our investment strategy. And the third key plank is digital infrastructure, which is about building the infrastructure backbone behind the data revolution that we're seeing, and which has been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So when we talk about creation of positive futures, quote unquote, how do you aim to impact African lives positively moving forward? Shola?
Sure. So the very nature of what we do and the type of assets that we invest in are really community-related assets which bring something to the immediate community that we invest in. So we do everything with a lens of positively impacting the immediate community in which the infrastructure asset is built. We have a very rigorous ESG practice. It's embedded into our investment process. In every transaction that we do, we have an environmental and social management system, which is embedded into the asset management framework of that particular investment. And that helps us not just monitor, but also define a number of initiatives that we want to embed within that asset to increase the impact of that asset on the immediate.
When we talk about technology-wise for the continent, sub-Saharan Africa, where do you see the biggest development coming through?
Sure. So sub-Saharan Africa will be no different to the themes that we're seeing globally in terms of the acceleration of data use and digital infrastructure that's been propelled by this pandemic. We see, in terms of forecast, data volumes per user to grow over the next 5 years by between 3 and 4 times in sub-Saharan Africa. So we see opportunities all around that digital revolution, whether it's helping the mobile network operators build additional towers, whether it's building data centers for various to help various companies digitalize, or whether it's building fiber networks to help bring data to individual homes and businesses.
So, what's your take on COVID-19? Will it be a game changer or will it be a pullback for Africa?
It's a good question, and it's a very interesting one. What we see on our side in terms of our portfolio is that COVID-19 has really solidified the core nature of some of our energy assets, which are contracted and long-term in nature and have not been materially impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, given the essential nature of these assets. But we've also seen that off-takers, particularly government utilities, have struggled. Where fiscal measures have hit governments, their ability to continue supporting utilities is going to be impacted, and that's going to give rise to two things. One is that you're going to see increasing distributed energy type solutions being promoted because of the deterioration in creditworthiness from a utility perspective. But secondly, you're also going to see increased private sector participation in energy value chains because federal, state governments and sovereign governments need partners, given the impacts that they're suffering from under COVID.
So Africa seriously needs electrification for industrialization to propel economic growth. So what's your view of the future of energy markets on the continent?
So if you look at the majority of markets in sub-Saharan Africa, apart from a handful, what's clear is that energy value chains are suffering from a cash flow perspective. So utilities are bearing the weight of that, and from a private sector perspective, that angle is going to be increasingly problematic. So in the future, what we see is a much bigger role in terms of energy value chains that is being played by distributed networks, whether this is rooftop solar, whether this is solar home systems, anything that effectively allows corporates, businesses, and homes to generate power in isolation from the energy grid will support a decentralized energy market of the future.
So we've spoken so much about Pan-African footprints and what AIIM is doing. Let's drill down a little bit into South Africa, in particular, the Ideas Managed Fund. How does it work? What does it bring to the table?
So the Ideas Managed Fund is the largest domestic infrastructure equity fund in South Africa. It has been running for almost 20 years, and it is heavily invested in renewable energy. But going forward, we see that that focus also moving to a gas to power platform and also digital infrastructure to sort of resonate with the themes that I spoke about earlier.
Great. I'm sure you folks are doing quite so well at AIM, and whatever you're aiming at, we want you to have all the best. But the final one from me, what's your take on the Africa Energy Forum 2020 edition, focusing on the fifth industrial revolution?
Well, I think it's fantastic. You guys have pivoted to a digital format. There will be some very interesting conversations throughout the forum. So very much looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Shola, for speaking to us on Africa Energy Forum TV. Bye for now, and see you at the conference.
Thank you. Bye-bye.